Shalom, Yasharallah, HALALYAM, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and taught us His truth through the Spirit. Shalom to the sincere Akim wa Akwatiam, listening and learning, being doers of the word. To the Akim, making their bodies a living sacrifice in these last days, risking their lives and freedom to push the word out in truth and sincerity. And to the speckled bird scattered abroad that look like the other nations but are really Israelites, Shalom. I just want to, talk about something that I was thinking about. Mainly just about pride, and taking correction in general, but also to a more specific sense about spanking your children. It's funny how Esau is so into pedophilia, and it's becoming less and less criminalized. He's passing laws to slowly legalize pedophilia and justify pedophilia. All government officials pretty much are pedophiles, and celebrities as well. And yet, it's such a big thing in the, in the Edomite world, or Edomite community or whatever, to be like, oh, I'm a free-range parent, and I don't spank my children. That's cruel. Well, the free-range parenting thing makes sense because they are pushing, for their sons to chop their rods off at a young age, so they can just decide that for themselves, right? Well, it all goes hand in hand, really. But just the fact that they don't spank their children because it's cruel, but then turn around and engage in pedophilia, that's what's ironic to me. But when you think about it all together, it goes hand in hand, because the free range and letting them do whatever they want, and allowing them to be transformers and sodomites and so on and so forth, and not spanking them. They don't get any punishment for that. But not even just that, for disrespecting them, doing drugs. So-called white kids love to vape and all that, and smoke and drink and party and all kinds of stuff. So really it all goes hand in hand, but just the one point about pedophilia was ironic to me. Then again, is it really surprising that everything that Esau does is against the scriptures? Absolutely not. So really, you're supposed to beat your children, okay? Not straight up punch them like you're in a street fight, but you're supposed to whoop them. You're supposed to correct them. That's why our parents always says, I'm going to whoop your butt, You're getting disrespectful. You're doing stuff that you're not supposed to do, so I'm gonna whoop your butt. Literally, that's what they would do. They have sense. They don't hit them in the face or, cause them to bleed or anything. They're just whooping their butts. A punishment. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do. And for Yasharallah, literally, we are like children. Okay, and I'm gonna get into all that. All right, but really, the main point is that we need to humble down and take correction, rebuke when we're wrong, or rebuke in general. Open rebuke is better than secret love. And stop being prideful and stop acting like we know it all when we clearly do not. We need to receive instruction, because nothing we've done in our lives, nothing our ancestors have done, well, within the within, these 400 years, right? The Black Panther Party, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Nation of Islam, Black Lives Matter, and protesting in general, or marches, or these associations, affirmative action. None of that's doing anything for us. That's not really helping us. So, what is the instruction that we need to take heed to? The scriptures. Plain and simple. The true understanding of the scriptures. Because because this is common knowledge now, or at least it should be, that it's about the Israelites. We are the Israelites. The so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Israelites. Okay? This is surface level stuff. So knowing that, you cannot go to Edomite pastors or Moabite pastors or anyone else, or any of these Israelite pastors that teach Christianity, because Christianity is white supremacy. That's not even true Christianity. Alright, they just stole the term and butchered it. So you need to learn from other Israelite teachers that are teaching the cold, hard truth. Okay? Only then will we actually get somewhere, and we are getting somewhere, because the Lord's elect, the remnant, because most of us are not going to get it. 2/3 is not going to listen. The remnant is waking up, so the world is coming crumbling down. So many more accidents are going on in the state of Israel today. Them sinkholes, the stampede that happened, which killed a couple of them so-called Jewish people. They're getting judged over there. And then the tensions with Palestine is popping off, and all around the so-called Middle East. So prophecies are popping off now, because we're waking up and we're getting closer to the end. We're even closer than we believed. I believe that says it in Romans 13 and 11. Now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than we believe. But I want to start in Proverbs 15 and 10. I don't want to make this too long and just keep rambling. But it says, correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Okay? So, if you cannot stand correction, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to hear this, and blah, 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 then you're a fool. Okay? And you forsook the way of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. You forsook the way of our ancestors, our true ancestors, that knew they were Israelites, and that believed and kept the faith and kept the laws. Okay? And if you hate reproof, which reproof is, another word for correction, really, or rebuke, then you're gonna die, plain and simple. The Lord makes it very clear. Like, there's no mystery behind that. You're just gonna die. The wages of sin is death, and anything against this word is sin. If they speak not according to this word, it's because there is no light in them. Okay, so you're in gross darkness. You hate correction and reproof, and you're gonna die. It's like straight up and down. Okay. This is Ecclesiasticus 10 and 12. Oh yeah, and that to hate correction and to not want to listen to true authority, which is YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, and the men of the Lord, that means you have pride, because you want to do whatever you want to do. You want to follow Christianity, even though you know that it's lies and dogma and not truth. You want to follow Islam, which is the same thing, but really worse, because you got to be a moron to follow Islam. And then, especially if you're an Israelite, if you're Jake and you follow Islam, you need to get up out of that. Like, bro, or sis, you need to put your head on straight, because you're tripping if you're following that shit. Or anything else. Alright? Anything else for that matter. And if you're an atheist, you're a dumbass as well. Okay? Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 10 and 12. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from Yahawah, and his heart is turned away from his maker. Okay? So, pride, to have pride, because really when we are trying to teach you and we're telling you about these things and we're warning you, and you choose not to listen, you choose to scoff and turn away, you're not turning away from us, because we're just messengers, we're just servants. You're turning away from Yahawadah, because it's Yahawadah that's telling us to say these things, to teach you, telling us to show our people their transgressions, to cry aloud and spare not. Okay? So really you're turning away from your maker. You worship the creatures more than the creation. Okay? Verse 13. For pride is the beginning of sin. Because you have to have pride to not listen to Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHWASHI. You know that he's always watching you, and you still want to just do this thing that you're not supposed to do right in front of him. That's pride. You're insane. We were insane to, and really it starts with us. We're the ones that went off. We know these heathens are some damn demons, and they're going to be put to death, and they're going to be put into subjection under Yasharallah, under Yahawashi. But we're the ones that went off. We sinned. So the Lord used them as our he set them up over us as punishment. So we have to examine ourselves first and foremost. Okay? And he that hath it shall pour out abomination, and therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. That's what happened to us. Okay? The Lord cast down the thrones of proud princes and set up the meek in their stead. That's what's going to happen to us. Okay? The proud is Esau Edom right now. The Lord's going to throw him down and set us up, because this is who the Lord is dealing with. He's dealing with the lowly men, the meek. Okay? That's why the scriptures say the Lord has chosen foolish things to confound the wise of this world. And the Lord deals with those poor of the world, but rich in faith. Okay? And we're the meek, because we're at our lowest estate right now, ever. So we are meek, we're in poverty, and we're lowly men. It takes, that's what the scriptures also say this too, but I can't remember the exact wording. But that's what it takes to be rich in faith. You need, this, not even experience, but you need wisdom. It's wisdom. And where do you get wisdom? From Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHWASHI. Verse 15. Yahweh hath plucked up the roots of the proud nations and planted the lowly in their place. Okay, and you can read on with that, because it goes more into it. Alright? And then even for the women, right? Sirach 26 and 26. Alright? And you can read this whole chapter too, because it goes in on women. It goes in on Eve, our Israelite sisters. A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. So to dishonor him, you have to be prideful. I mean, everything it stems from pride. It's the beginning of sin. Because you're gonna be like, oh, who are you? You know, I'm an independent woman. You know, I make more money than you, nigga. You know, I don't need to like, submit myself to you. Submission. They cringe at that word. If you're not submitting to your man, you're not submitting to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI. Now, if it's a wicked man, that's a different story. The Lord will, you know, find a way. Or not find a way. He has a way. He will give you a way out of a bad relationship if that is what needs to happen. But I don't know if you see it right here. Verse 23, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. I'll just go to it, Salakia. Okay, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. Verse 23. So if the Lord's dealing with you at all, this won't even be your situation. You'll be a godly woman with a godly man. And really that goes into polygyny as well, because it's more women on earth than there are men, let alone men of the Lord in our, you know, so-called community, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. There's very few true men of the Lord. So the sisters that are, you know, going to be delivered, that have their spirits humbled in these last days, you have to flock to the men of the Lord. And, you know, you're going to have to get used to sharing a man. That's just what it is. But it's all about humility. Okay, so you dishonor him in your pride when you choose not to submit to him, because the hierarchy, or the Godhead as some people call it, it's Yahawah is the head of Yahawashi, Yahawashi is the head of man, and man's the head of woman, and woman is the head of the children. So what if your children didn't want to listen to you? You know? You not listening to your husband, which is your head, you dishonor him, and you have pride. So there's going to be pride in your children not listening to you. Obviously they're not going to listen to the Father, they're not going to listen to Yahawashi, they're not going to listen to Yahawah. It's a straight line, you know? Because if a man of the Lord is going to come in the spirit of Yahawashi, rehearsing his righteous acts. So if you're not listening to a man of the Lord, you're not listening to Yahawashi, therefore you're not listening to Yahawah. Therefore you're going to die because you're sinning. Okay, and you have pride, and Yahweh hates pride. Okay? Speaking of death, this is 2 Ezra chapter 8 verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. You know, a man shall desire to go into a city, but shall not be able. You know, so on and so forth. You can read about that in 2 Ezra. But because of great pride. Oh, you know, I'm not into all that Bible stuff. What's your sign? I'm into astrology. I'm into the stars. I can figure this out on my own. What's your sign? I can find out who you are. Oh, let me give you a reading. Open, give me your palm. Oh, pick a card. All this foolishness. Oh, what's your personality type? I'm a INJF. All that bull crap. All that folly. all that witchcraft and wickedness. Okay? That's pride. Because Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI has all the answers, and He gave it all to us in this book, in the Bible. And literally, we're, it's just a bunch of fools. If you have the cheat codes for life, and you choose not to hearken unto it, you're just insane. Okay? So this is talking about Jacob's trouble. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. So this latter time is talking about the time of trouble. Or another word for trouble is tribulation. Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, which is Israel, Yasharallah. It is the time of our trouble, but we shall be saved out of it. He shall be saved out of it, out of Jacob's trouble. Alright? Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael, the archangel Michael, stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, who is the Lord's people, Yahweh BAHASHAM, who is Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI's people, Yasharallah, Israel. We are the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, or Negroes, Hispanics, and indigenous peoples. Alright, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. Okay, so it's never been this bad, and it's never going to be as bad as this, because this is going to be the worst time in human history. Okay, in history, period. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book of life, as it states in Revelation. Okay, verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And our goal is to be awakened to everlasting life. Really, our goal, best case scenario, Lord willing, Yahawah Rataza, or Adawan Rataza, is that we don't even have to taste death. Because the scriptures say some of us shall not even taste death. Okay? We're going to be delivered, in that strange salvation. And we don't have to taste death unless, some of us are martyrs, which really, maybe that could be best case scenario, because you have a high honor. You're raised up first. You're part of the first resurrection. If you're a martyr, you get beheaded for the Lord. Be ready for that, and take that on with joy, because if you're threatened with getting beheaded, that's like, you should already believe, but that's like the ultimate confirmation. Because all this bad stuff is going on. The ones that are unwavering will remain unwavering no matter what. But just thinking about that, it's like, wow, like Esau really is coming down with great wrath. He knows that his time is up, and he'll go this far to behead men of the Lord. I'd be happy in that moment. Take it on with a smile, because you're going to be part of the first resurrection, and you died for Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. That's the best way to go out. Really, that's the only good way to go out. Alright? But some of us, the remnant, the martyrs, will wake up, that sleep in the dust, meaning that are dead, They're going to wake up to everlasting life. And then the 2/3 that are going to die, for sure, shall wake up to shame and everlasting contempt. Okay, so they're going to be ashamed. They're going to be like, oh my God, the prophets were among us. They were trying to warn us and teach us, and we didn't listen. So yeah, all of Israel shall be saved, and they will come back in the kingdom, but they're going to be ashamed of themselves, you know. So it's not just, well, we're all going to be we're all going to be in the kingdom, you know. So what's the point? Well, do you want to die to freaking harsh, severe torments in Jacob's trouble? Do you want to die to a ICB missile, intercontinental ballistic missile, where your eyes and tongue melts out of its sockets, and you know, that's a painful death. That's the second death of fire. I don't want to go through that. So if you're willing to do that and wake up to shame and everlasting contempt, be my guest. But you know, the men of the Lord don't want that. We want to strive for the truth and fight for the truth unto death and be on that standby. Alright? What does it mean to be on standby? It's to be ready for deployment. Basically, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Which some brothers brought out a lesson and a response to that lesson as well. Brothers brought that out. Being on standby for the kingdom. That's what it's all about right now. Alright? Matthew 24 and 21. You know, just to, you know, top it all off. For then shall be great tribulation. Alright, another word for trouble. Jacob's trouble, time of trouble. Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. Same thing. It's never been this bad before, and it's never gonna be this bad again. This is our last captivity. This is the day of judgment. You know? Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So this is going to be the worst time ever. The worst time ever. You know, I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but if you look at Berserk, that series, which the creator, the Ammonite creator, just died recently, I think last month or this month, which, you know, these Ammonites are sickos anyway, but if you look at that series, there's the age of the golden age, right? You know, and then after the golden age came the age of darkness. So the golden age was, you know, normal medieval times, you know, fighting in battles and stuff like that, mercenaries, whatever, but relatively, you know, normal, peaceable. But after that came the age of darkness, where demons started roaming around, you know, different monsters and hideous atrocities occurred. We're gonna be that's gonna be the age of darkness for us. Jacob's trouble, that great tribulation. Alright. Verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. So these days have to be shortened, because it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad that there should no flesh be saved. We would all die. We would all go crazy. So this has to end soon. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Alright? So, going more into the aspect of children, right? And now we have to examine ourselves first, because we are like children. When you first come into the truth, you need to be weaned off the milk. You can't just jump straight to the meat, like how some people will tell you and teach you to start in the New Testament. Oh, start reading at Matthew if you don't know where to start. Why, when it comes to the Bible, all of a sudden you don't know where to start? With any other book, you'll start at the goddamn beginning, wouldn't you? So what the hell you need to start in Matthew for? Oh, where do I start? Yeah, it's a big book. You need to read all of it. Or have it read to you. There's audio books. You have access to these things. Why are you so overwhelmed all of a sudden now? Read it from the beginning. Genesis. Okay? People always want to play games when it comes to the Lord. But everything else is all good. You won't ask where to start when it comes to McGraw-Hill, you know, or your damn college textbooks or whatever the hell other crap you want to learn. Your online course. Where do we start? No, the thing is laid out for you already. It's a book. It doesn't get more simpler than that. You read it from left to right in English. So just begin at the beginning. You need the understanding of the Old Testament to understand the Apocrypha, to understand the New Testament. You're not going to understand it if you are. How are you going to understand a book if you jump to the end? You're jumping to the climax before you even get the exposition and the introduction. What sense does that make? This is why nobody but the Israelites can teach. And it's only for us. Okay? But I'm not about to get heated on another topic. You know, I did a video on that already. For us, by us, and, you know, so on and so forth. So, literally, when it comes to this, when it comes to the truth, when it comes to YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, we're children. And we are. Not even in the sense that I was just ranting about, but also the sense of knowledge. We're like children. We're born again, so to speak. Well, that's what the term means. We're born again. No, you're not going to be a born again virgin, but born again meaning you finally woke up to the knowledge of the truth and you repented. Okay? So we're not going to take it out of context and try to spin it to our benefit and lie to people, but we are born again because we are now repenting and striving to be perfect. Alright? Jeremiah 4:22. For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are sottish children. What does the word sottish mean? Resembling a sot, drunken also, doltish, or stupid. They are stupid children. Alright? We're dumb. We're doltish. What's a dolt? Same thing. Is an idiot. They are sottish children. They have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. You know all about how to play the EBT system. You know all about how to conceal a weapon, roll a blunt up, you know, play NBA 2K, do all this crap. But when it comes to reading a book, not even reading a book, when it comes to reading the book that you need for your life, the Bible, where do I start? Are you stupid? Like, we really are some sottish ass children. Like, come on, man. This is very simple. Are you serious? That shit is funny, but it's sad. The Lord has us, you know, we're an open book to YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. We have none understanding. Wise to do evil, to do good. We don't even know where to start with a book. For real? You niggas really talk about where do I start with the Bible? They're wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. Okay? Proverbs 22:15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. So this is going into the children. And you can relate it to to us as a whole as well. Like I said, we are, like children born again. So for a child, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Because they don't know anything. They're children. They need to be taught. Like it says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are older, they will not depart from it. So, part of raising children is discipline, okay? And correction and instruction. So it says, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. Okay, the rod of correction, which is, it could be a belt, it could be, like some Negroes say, a switch. It could be an actual, like, rod. Whatever. Like what's like a rod? Like a plastic rod, I guess. Like a shower rod. You wouldn't use an actual iron rod on your child like we're gonna use on these damn heathens. But, that's what it means. A rod of correction. What is a rod of correction for us, though? It could also be a allegorical sense or a metaphorical sense, like how the heathens were that rod of correction for us, from captivity to captivity, and then we prayed to, repent, for us to be forgiven, to deliver us, and He delivered us. And that's the only way we'll listen. It seems like we have to get punished, we have to get effed up for us to finally listen to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. And it's going to go into that as well. So the rod of correction, whooping your child, will drive foolishness away. Sirach 30:11. Give him no liberty in his youth. This is talking about your children. And wink not at his follies. So, wink not at his follies, meaning don't turn a blind eye to his sins or things that he's not supposed to be doing. Don't encourage that. Don't enable them to do bad things. When they're doing something bad, you need to instantly correct them and chastise them. And whoop them if need be, spanking them, which Esau is so against. Verse 12, bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn, and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thine heart. That's why Edomites are so damn rebellious and wicked. Because they have no correction. Their parents don't correct them. They're on that free range crap. So on, and you already know what it is. Like, these Edomites are sick. Alright. And you can read this chapter from like verse 1 to 13. And you'll get even more information on that. Alright, now Proverbs 23:12. Apply thine heart unto instruction, and thine ears to the words of knowledge. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, thy rod of correction, he shall not die. So these people talking about is cruel. Even some Israelites saying, oh, I'm not going to beat my kid, it's cruel, I'm not going to hurt them. Okay, then let's see how they turn out. That's why so many of the youth today is getting into gangs and, being into social media, having the internet raise them, getting into trouble with the law, all types of folly. So the scriptures say, withhold not correction from the child. So don't spare them any correction. They need to be corrected, correct them. I know all of us probably got whoopings from our moms or dads, yeah. Alright? And we may have hated it in the moment, but really, it was for the best. We look back on it and we're like, wow, she really kept me in order. She kept me on the right track. And if it wasn't for that whooping, or this whooping, or whatever, I would have turned out like these other Negroes. Or I would have actually went through with this thing that I was trying to do. You know? So it's a good thing. That's really out of love. Alright? That's a parent's love. Even if, your child, may, resent you in that moment, we know that they're going to look back on it and appreciate it. Some might be too proud to really admit that, but ultimately it's for the greater good. So don't be worried about no cruelty. They're not going to die. You're not going to kill your child. It's not abuse. You're not beating on the kid, and you're not whooping a baby. Babies, that's different. Infants, newborns, that's different. Toddlers, that's different. But when they get to an age where they can speak and understand you, they need to be corrected when they're doing something wrong. Alright, and when they're being rebellious and yelling and, kicking and screaming in the store and blah blah blah, they need to get that ass whooped. That's just what has to happen. Alright? Verse 14, thou shalt beat him with the rod and shalt deliver his soul from hell. Alright, put them on the right track now. Train up a child in the way they should go, and they shall not depart from it when they are older. When they are old, they shall not depart from it. That's what it's for. Alright? That's what's happening to us. We're getting whooped in this last captivity. We got whooped captivity after captivity over and over. The heathens always took it too far. But, it was still a punishment for us. And then Proverbs 3:11. My son, so this goes into the Lord chastening us. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. Alright? So that's pretty much all I want to go into. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Abban Babal. Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.